WPTV.
Welcome back to the desk. Just one game away from the end of the Pioneers football season, and here to talk about the season's conclusion, we have Marc, Nick, Andrew, and Joe. You know, Joe, with 9 games in the books, 1 game remaining, the biggest one of them all against Montclair State, the Pioneers have a lot of playmakers on offense and defense. Who is your MVP of the season?
Yeah, one guy, Jimmy, for me, who really, made a huge turning point for the Pioneers offense was really Nazir Dale. Take a look at his stature. He played a running back for the team, 877 rushing yards, 7 rushing touchdowns, 4.5 rush yards per carry. Listen, this guy was a 3-time Offensive Rookie of the Week for the NJAC. He was also the first Pioneer since 2011 to have over 200 yards of rushing in a game. So he was a big impact for the team this year in the running back position. Also, mind you, he's a freshman as well, so he's got many years to come.
Yeah, you know, we saw his impact even in the Westcon game, the first game of the season, really broke onto the scene. Marc, where are you headed?
Yeah, so Nazir Dale, very impressive numbers, but I'm going to take it in the trenches on the defensive side of the ball. Big D lineman Nasir Adams, 2022 season, he had 20 total tackles, 14 solos, 6 assists, 6 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and even a pass breakup. He's been a monster on that D-line spot for years, and he's showing why he's the most valuable Pioneer on this team.
Yeah, big part of that Pioneer front 7. Andrew, we got 1 offense, 1 defense. Who are you taking?
Sticking with the defense, man. I'm going to go with Nazir Wright. He had a phenomenal season. Once again, the linebacker had 59 tackles, 13 tackles for loss, 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, as well as 6 QB hits. Led the team in sacks and tackles for loss. He was second in tackles. He's been a force the entire time on defense in his senior season. And he's been a leader on this team for a while now. So it's going to hurt to see him gone next year.
Yeah, he can line up all over the field. Definitely going to be a big loss next season. Nick, who is your most valuable Pioneer?
Well, I'm going to keep it on the defense with the linebacking core as well. I'm going to go with Smart Wingo. He's got 3.5 sacks on the season, most notably the game-winning sack against Kane, 78 total tackles. And I think, in baseball, we would call it protection when you have guys in the lineup that can kind of protect your star guys. So, when you have, star linebackers and, other players like that, Samad really being able to kind of, take some pressure off them and be able to get those big-time tackles and get those big-time sacks, when the offense is focusing on those other players. He's really been able to do a great job this season.
Yeah, the Pioneers lost 2 key linebackers last season in Salgado and Maldonado. He stepped in that role big time. Nick, I'm going to keep it with you. Well, we just talked about MVPs. There's a lot of guys we'd like to take a step up next season, really help out, be that key replacement. Who are you looking for to take that next leap going into next season?
I'm looking for it at the quarterback position, Simon Condemi. This year he was able to throw for 2 touchdowns and, he had 286 yards, which is not great because he didn't really get a lot of time out there. I'm hoping for him to kind of take ownership of that starting job. We saw a lot of quarterback controversy throughout the year, kind of split snap, stuff like that. I would like to see him really take charge and really own that spot as a #1 QB and really try to lead this Pioneer offense for the rest of the year.
He's a freshman, so he's only going to grow. Andrew, who would you like to see make that next step forward?
I'm going to take it over to the defensive side of things. I'm going to go with JoJo Kirby, the sophomore defensive back. He had a solid campaign this year. In 8 games, he had a tackle for loss and an interception, as well as a pass breakup and 20 tackles. Took a little bit of a step back from his numbers from last year, but he had a really insane 2021. So it makes sense of him stepping back, but he's going to be looking for a lot of redemption next year. He's going to be a leader on this team, and he's going to be really good next year, I think.
Him and Devin Blunt, a great tandem out there. Marc, who are you taking?
So I'm going to go with the freshman wide receiver, Tyreek Rollins. Absolutely electric in the special teams game. So he's shifty. He can get around 2 touchdowns, punt returns this season, which is absolutely insane. But you want to see him as that shifty kind of gadget player. You want to see him get more of a used role in that offense. I think he could be electric for the Pioneers in the future.
Taz Burton, Rollins, Matt Clarke, a good receiver core, underrated in the NJAC, I would say. Joe, where are you going with this?
Yeah, I'm going to stick it here in the receiver core as well. This is a huge, great receiver core. Take a look at a guy, 6'2" sophomore from Ocean Township, Ty Brookins. He had 2 touchdowns, 17 receptions this year, and 8 games played. He also had 187 receiving yards. Listen, this is a guy who can line up in the outside. He can line up in the slot position. He's got speed. He also got bigger in size as well. He really hit the weight room this offseason. So for a guy like him to really step up next year to be one of the dominant receiver as well in both inside and outside roles, he's going to have a good one next year for the Pioneers.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. And as we talked about before, 1 game left on the season. Probably the one we most all look forward to, Montclair State. That's always exciting. Marc, these 2 teams look pretty comparable this season. The Pioneers would like to end their season on a higher note than what we've seen the last few weeks. What are we going to see from this game?
Yeah, so as we take a look at the stats for both of the teams here, we'll see that William Patterson are sitting at a 4-5 record right now. Montclair State are at 2-7. Montclair State is scoring, 14.2 points per game. William Patterson 14.4. William Patterson letting up about 20 points per game, 17 for the Red Hawks over there in Montclair, about 215 yards per game for the Pioneers, and then 235 on the other side. And then opponents, very comparable. William Patterson letting up about 248 and Montclair State about the same. So you're looking at pretty comparable stats here.
You know, two low-scoring offenses. We got good, solid run games. Defense not going to give up a lot of points, going to keep them in the games. But Andrew, after seeing a breakdown of the team statistically, who are you taking this week? What do you see?
I mean, I really want to say the Pioneers, but the Montclair is 28-0 against William Patterson at home. And although Montclair's offense has not looked good all season, and they're 0-5 in the conference, they're on a six-game losing streak. The Pioneers are on a 4-game losing streak. Something's got to happen here. I really need the Pioneers to win here, or else it kind of becomes that what-if season, hot start, and they kind of collapse a little bit in NJAC play. But if they can finish 500 on the year, I think they'll be very happy with that. I think it's a very successful year for Coach Sean Williams. So, really excited.
Now, keep it with you, Andrew, again. What is your key to this game?
I got to go with the run game. The run game is absolutely crucial for this game. We've run the ball well all year, over 130 yards on the ground. Nazir Dale has been phenomenal, as Joe mentioned before. He's 100 yards away from a 1,000-yard season, and he would be the first Pioneer to do that in well over a decade. So pair that, and the Pioneers can have a happy ending to their season.
Yeah, a big win for the Pioneers is definitely much needed. Montclair State, that would really galvanize the troops together for Coach Williams. Nick, what is your key to their final game?
For me, the key is the trench play. You know, we see time and time again. Andrew pointed it out, how important that run game is, but that run game starts with that offensive line and, you know, stopping the run from Montclair with the defensive line. You know, we know that this is going to be a sloppy game. It's going to be a dogfight. At the end of the day, you know, it's not going to be the pretty, gaudy stuff from the skill positions. What's going to come down to is those big boys in the box, you know. You got your offensive line, you got your defensive line, and whoever wins that battle in the trenches is going to win the game.
You know, we talked a lot about that defensive line. Our team MVPs, Nazir, right? Gore is going to play a big factor. Joe, what is your key?
I think my key right there is the passing game. You know, the offense is very vanilla. It's a very basic offense. You know, teams are starting to know what the Pioneers are going to do, right? And then you can't open up the passing game if you don't have a good run game. They're second to last in the NJAC with 768 passing yards. They're also second most for interceptions, third team. You got to wake up the passing game. Your receiver core is too good and too young to really not be able to, you know, throw the ball and have a phenomenal air raid. And then MSU is a team that's, you know, really a down year this year because a lot of their seniors graduated from last year. You know, they're a very young team now. But for the Pioneers, this is a really great opportunity to finish, I believe, 5-5, if I'm not mistaken, this year, 500. And it'll be a successful season for Coach Sean Williams as his first year as head coach.
It'll definitely be a successful first season. Like you said, Joe, Matt Clarke and Taz Burton's stats are definitely a lot lower than they were last season. So if they can get them going, that'll make Nazir Dale's job easier, offensive line's job easier. Marc, where are you going?
So William Patterson's cornerbacks have been locked down all season. Devin Blunt, JoJo Kirby, phenomenal athletes and phenomenal players. But you want to see them start to force some more turnovers. They've been locked down, so you want to see them try to bait the quarterback who's already thrown 12 picks for Montclair State on the season. So you really want to see them try and bait that quarterback into giving you the ball.
Yeah, the Pioneers definitely have those playmakers in the secondary, like Andrew talked about JoJo Kirby earlier. Devin Blunt can get some interceptions that will definitely help them in this one. My key, definitely special teams. A lot of block punts on the season, so that will definitely be a key. But as the Pioneers season ends, we put a bow on that season. From Whiteman Stadium, we're going to take things over to the Rec Center as Pioneer basketball is just getting going. Keep it locked here on WPTV.